What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a profile update for Pure Zombies post Supreme Darkness. There was actually 3 brand new technical zombie cards, 4 if you want to be going down more of a ritual route for something like Revan Dreads, that we received in Supreme Darkness. So I've got them to one side for me. So we've got Curse of the Ancient Turtle. You've also got the Rotting Phoenix, and then of course you've got Delta of Innovation. Now, we're only going to be using 2 of those cards in this deck just because the Delta of Innovation kind of requires you to play 3 copies of it, plus a Terraforming, just to make it as consistent as possible. Whereas the other cards themselves, they're not as, they can still get some usage out of them. They can either be a Lord targets, they're technically acting as 2 effects in one, so there's a little bit more you can play around with. That being said, you can very easily put the Delta in. I just feel you get a little bit more depending on particular type of build you're going for. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Now with zombies, there's loads of different variants that you can play, and the reason I'm calling this the pure update is this one is the focused on the zombie cards themselves. Of course, you do have 60 card versions, you have Horus versions, you even have Tearlament versions as well. There's loads that you can play around with. This one I thought is just more so for the pure players out there that really want to be keeping zombies kind of like Bones in the anime, and give you a couple of ideas. So going through the basic setup, we've got triple Uni-Zombie, obviously acting as your main normal summon of the deck to be a Foolish Burial from either the hand or the deck, and that can be very, very helpful. Backed up with triple Mizuki, one of the ideal cards to get to your graveyard, alongside double Siranui Solitaire. We've then got 2 Necro-World Banshee. Now, I would have loved this card to either the Delta of Innovation to mention Zombie World, just so that it could have been like a card like Banshee could have said, you could banish it from the graveyard and then place Zombie World, or a card that mentions Zombie World would have been amazing. But these days, Konami don't want to make cards that are supporting old archetypes too broken, right? And then of course we've got your standard ones that are going to give you more advantage from the graveyard, being Gozuki, Mad Mauler, and Plague Spreader alongside your Glow Up Bloom. Now Glow Up Bloom's a little less reliant right now, but it's just a lot easier to send a monster from deck to the grave than it is to get access to your Curse of the Ancient Turtle, which is why you still want to use it. And then the card you're going to be able to get the most value from with all of the new cards, mainly the Curse of the Ancient Turtle, is of course going to be your level 5 or higher, and that's where the Delta of Innovation will come into play a little bit more if you want to go down that route. So you've got the 1 Al Ghul, you've got the 1 Chenxing, you've got the 1 Vampire Froilin, Jacko Bolan, and Doom King Boulderrock. Now you can play these however you want. The idea is that when you're going to utilize a card like Delta of Innovation, so when it's activated, you send a level 5 or higher zombie from the deck to the grave, and then if a zombie monster is on the field, you get to special summon a Delta token, which will be a level 5 zombie, and then if a monster is added from the grave to the hand while it's in the graveyard, you get to add this card back to the hand. So that's where Delta will come into play, because it basically acts as Foolish Burial for more of these. The only one you're going to get the most advantage of when you send them from deck to grave will be your Jacko Bolan and your Boulderrock. The other card that we'll talk about is Curse of the Turtle, which we'll go over in a second. The last zombie monster that is utilised as combo pieces is 3 of the Volcarion, the Rotting Phoenix. What a name. It actually reminds me of like a vulture, but then looks kind of cool regardless. It's a zombie level 4 tuner that can summon itself from the hand for free if you control a zombie monster, which is insane because it starts opening up doors for making even more synchro plays. It opens up doors for rank 4 plays as well, which is really, really useful for some of the cards in the extra deck. And on top of that, if you don't want to be using it as a tuner because maybe you have Uni-Zombie on the board and you want to get a different zombie from your hand to the board, it has the effect that during the main phase, you return it from the field to the hand, to then special summon a zombie from the hand. Now, obviously, you can play it less if you want to, but the idea is right now, because we don't have direct routes to get to get this card from the deck to the hand, you kind of want to hard open it. The benefit of hard opening it is technically if you only open up, like if you brick on 2 of these, you can still normal summon down one, special summon down the other, and then you overlay both for rank 4. So you still have that play to make should you need to. And then the other brand new card we're playing is 2 Curse of the Ancient Turtle. Now, this is one that I've been contemplating whether I want to be playing 2 or 3 of it. So this lets you banish a zombie monster from the hand or graveyard. More times than not, you're going to want to banish it from the graveyard to send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. When your zombie monster is destroyed by battle, you get to banish this card from the graveyard to special summon a zombie monster with 2,000 or less defense from your deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now, obviously, that's great effects. More times than not, your opponent is probably not going to read the second effect to this one, and you will catch them off guard. Yes, it does have very nice synergy by banishing other zombie monsters from the grave. You'll get even more utility if you are playing cards like, which we are do, the Flying Mary, because this one lets you special summon back one of your level 5 or higher zombies that is banished or in the graveyard. But the idea is you can use Turtle, banish it from the graveyard, Foolish Burial or a card, and then of course you've got Flying Mary to just bring it back into rotation. So it's a really kind of cool card. like I said, the reason I've got this at 2 and I've got the Rotting Phoenix at 3 is the Rotting Phoenix, if I open up multiples, I can still get a certain use out of it. Whereas if I open up multiple turtles, they do kind of hinder myself. They're not an allure target. They're not a target that I can send off of the back of Unizombie. It does make it a little bit more tricky. For the other spells we are playing, speaking of which, we are playing 2 Allure of Darkness. You could cut out Allure of Darkness if you want to. It is currently a 42 card deck, but the idea behind this is you activate Allure, banish one of your high level 5 or higher Dark monsters, and then of course you just make your Flying Mary, and then Flying Mary brings it back. 1 for 1 Zombie World, can very easily play 2, no issues with that at all. 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Reasoning, and then of course triple Super Poly. Zombies, as I've mentioned before, are one of the very few decks that can actually control the board state, and that's where Zombie World comes into play. You might want to look at getting access to some of the other generic Super Poly targets, which I'm currently not playing in the extra deck, but I highly advise you consider them, because if you can't get to Zombie World, your Super Poly is pretty much dead. So it's one of those grey areas that you need to adapt it and make your build more tailored towards the Super Poly. But that's kind of where I want to always try and get Banshee to the graveyard, banish it, get the Zombie World, and off I go. Which is the benefit of playing 2, is it gives you a little bit more consistency to do that in the grind game. But in the shorter term, you kind of want to get to it as turbo as fast as you can and then start setting Super Polys. Then for the hand traps and board breakers, triple Ash, triple Imperm, and then triple Droplet. Obviously, Droplet putting zombies from your hand to the grave and then using the turtle to banish them just gives you more advantage. It means you're getting more out of your cards before you're absolutely utilising them. And that's kind of what you want to be doing with a deck like this, is you need to make sure that every card you get, you don't really want to be using the Curse of the Ancient Turtle to banish from the hand, because then you're losing resource. You kind of want to be utilising them as link fodder or synchro fodder and then banish them from the graveyard, and then that's when you're going to be able to get the most use out of them. So that's it for the entire main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're playing 1 Flying Mary, the Wandering Ghost Ship. So 2 zombie monsters, which is where the Delta can come into play, because the tokens can also be utilised, so can the one off the back of the Cursed Turtle. Target a level 5 or higher, banished zombie monster or in the graveyard. Place this card into the spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous spell, and if you do, special summon that monster. While it is a continuous spell, you get to target a level 5 or higher zombie monster you control and destroy one of your opponent's cards with attack less than or equal to that monster's attack. So very easily done. Then you've got your standard zombie link monsters in the form of the Avendread Savior, Vampire Sucker, Vampire Fascinator, and then the Yugioh Absolute Zero. Your 2 Super Poly targets in the Drago Neko. Now, of course, you can play one of this and then one of a Garura. The issue is the generic Super Poly targets are a little bit more specific. And what I mean by that is you'll have one target that hits Malice, you'll have one target that hits Ryziel. Very rarely do 2 targets overlap, bar something like a Garura. So keep that in mind. You can very easily cut this down to 1 if you want to, and some of the link monsters you don't need to rely on as heavily. For the rank 4s that you can now open up the door to thanks to the new Phoenix, not that you couldn't before, but it just makes it a little bit easier. You've got Daguerres and you've got Baguska, so if you get shifted, Baguska, and then Daguerres, if you need that additional discards and draws or revive from the graveyard, Daguerres can help you do that. SP Little Knight just is your standard link monster. And then for the synchros, we are playing the 1 Immortal Dragon, the 1 Felgrand. A lot easier to make now because, of course, you do have that free zombie. So you could technically go normal summon Mizuki, summon down the Phoenix, and go into this guy. Another one you can actually get into that isn't a zombie, that still helps you with recycling your banished cards, is Omega. And then, of course, you've got the 1 Red-Eyed Zombie Dragon and the 1 Psychic End Punisher. Of course, you have the ability to shift this up however you want. And what I mean by that is you can very easily go down more of a synchro route. You can go down more of a fusion route, a link route. Really is up to you. So that's pretty much it for the zombie profile. Very straightforward and simple. Not the biggest of updates, but the idea was just to kind of give you a profile online that shows you what the new cards can do, what you might want to consider adding. I feel that a Vendread version gets more utility out of cards like the Rotting Phoenix, the Cursed Turtle, and the brand new Necro. I don't know where I've put the Necro, but it's a brand new super rare that came out in Supreme Darkness, and it basically just utilizes ritual monsters, or the ability to get to ritual spells, ritual monsters, and send zombies from deck to grave. Last Chance Saloon? No, not there. But the idea is it's still very, very helpful for the deck, and it, like I said, it tailors itself more to the Revendreads than anything else. If you do want to see a Revendread version, then by all means get the video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, and I will try to bring that for you. For now, as absolutely always, smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe. But most importantly, stay safe and happy dueling.